Trilobites are some of the most commonly known Paleozoic animals, yet they aren't often talked about much among paleo enthusiasts. It probably has something to do with the fact that they aren't as exciting as dinosaurs or marine reptiles, which evolved later on in Earth's history. But the more you dig into the evolutionary history of trilobites, the more interesting they become, like almost every animal in the fossil record. Were they scavengers or predators? Were they brightly colored, or did they blend in with their environment? These are questions that paleontologists who study these animals seek to answer. There's really no such thing as a common trilobite. There are well over 20,000 known species of trilobite in the fossil record, and bearing in mind that fossilization is always rare, there were probably even more species that just never managed to be preserved. There are benthic trilobites that spent most of their time shuffling along the seafloor, and pelagic trilobites that spent their time swimming actively through the seas. Although trilobites are commonly compared to horseshoe crabs, they are far more varied and not closely related to these ancient crustaceans. Trilobites were incredibly successful animals that lived from the Cambrian period right the way through to the Permian. They ranged in size from a few centimeters to the size of large umbrellas. They were so successful that they spanned the entire globe. The name trilobite itself means three-lobed. The anatomy of these animals can be broken up into three primary parts, similar to insects today. The front end of a trilobite is called the cephalon. The middle portion of the trilobite is called the thorax. The end of the animal is called a pygidium. The three lobes for which trilobites are named are the left and right plural lobes, highlighted here. In the center, similar to a spine of a book, is the axial lobe. Despite their simple layout and overall form, there are various other aspects to their anatomy which become more complex. For example, highlighted here is the glabella, located on the cephalon. The eyes are now highlighted here. The facial suture, highlighted here, are seen to conform to the cephalon. The ridges that form the thorax of the animal are called pleurae and are broken up into segments, highlighted here. Along the axial lobe are a series of axial rings, highlighted here. Although it is easy to think of trilobites as primitive and simple organisms, they were highly successful animals that lived for millions of years, diversifying into a variety of forms, only being rendered extinct by the worst extinction event in the history of the planet. If not for the end Permian event, it is likely they would have persisted for many millions of years.